Hey everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hello everybody, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. This should be a treat. This is one that Parrish has sent me, and this guy knows beers. I'm going to read you the note he sent. He said, "Been wanting to send you this beer for a while, but never felt comfortable enough to do so because this brewery does not date their stuff. So I just figured it best to go to their location and buy a bottle directly from them. This beer is truly outstanding. Freshness guaranteed. Enjoy, Parrish." Well, Parrish, you don't have to go to the brewery. I mean, if you buy a beer, if you buy two of these beers and you drink one of them and you buy them from the same store, more than likely they're from the same batch. Even though they don't date, and you try this beer, the first one, and it tastes good to you, I guarantee you it's probably going to taste good to me. So, I don't know how much you're going to advance the freshness by going to the brewery. A lot of times you can. I mean, you go to the brewery, I mean, we just bottled this yesterday or last week or the last time that beer was run. So, you can pretty much anticipate getting a fresh or a fresher beer directly from the brewery. So, I appreciate you making the effort. You don't have to worry that much about it. If you think the beer is good, more than likely I'm going to think the beer is good too. We haven't conflicted on anything yet. But beer tastes are subjective. I mean, what I may like, you may hate, and what you may like, I may hate. So that's how the beer beer tasting goes. Depends on where your palate is at, and the stage, you know, and the beers that you've tried. The more hoppy stuff you've tried and like, the further advanced your palate's going to be toward IPAs. The more stouts, and then there's people that love IPAs and hate stouts, and there's people that love stouts and hate IPAs. So everybody's different. I mean, that's, you know, if we were all the same, we'd be after the same woman. And what kind of hell would that be? So beer tastes are subjective, guys. I mean, no two people are exactly alike. Even the people that say me and you have the same palate, well, they're, I mean, you know, maybe in this style, or maybe in that style, or maybe even a couple of different styles. But I mean, once you start getting to the, there's so many different styles. Once you get into the wheat beers or the lambics, there's going to be some things that you're not going to be, you know, you're not going to like exactly all the same beer styles I like normally. And vice versa, I'm not going to like all those. Lambics and sours or stuff I'm trying to get my hands around. I've got a bunch of Russian River beers in there. There are sours, and there's some brewery, the brewery beers. They do some sours, and I'm trying to get my arms and my taste buds wrapped around that, but that is seriously an acquired taste, and I have not acquired it yet. So, but that's another story altogether. Let's get on with this one. Parrish, my brother, thank you, sir. I'm sure this will be a tasty treat. So let's get on with this. This is Bootleggers Brewery Knuckle Sandwich. It is an Imperial Double IPA. So we've got 3 double IPAs in a row. Yesterday's and the days before, we've done 3 double IPAs. So I'm just trying to get those out, you know, and some of the barley wines and the imperial stouts can stay in there a little bit longer without losing any kind of hoppiness or anything, or degrading or turning into malt bombs, if you will. So let's see what the commercial description. This is a 10%er. IBUs, it says they're 88 on this beer. It says Knuckle Sandwich Double IPA is an American style double IPA. This beer that truly lives up to its name, brewed with copious amounts of North American hops. This double IPA has a colossal hop profile and an aggressive aroma. Helping round out the floral and citrus notes is a huge malt backbone that provides a great mouthfeel to this heavyweight hitter. And that's what I've heard on this particular beer. that it has a big malt backbone where a lot of other double IPAs do not. I have heard reference to this more like a barley wine, hopped up barley wine, than it is a double IPA. So we shall see. Over to the food pairings. It's going to be your typical double IPA food pairings on this one, guys. And what you use this as a cuisine is barbecue. Just a reference. Just a reference. I've told you this on yesterday's or the day before. Whatever you like to eat and drink with your double IPAs, by golly, do it. I mean, I like these with stronger dishes. I mean, Mexican food and pizza and tacos and grilled meat. I probably wouldn't have this with spaghetti unless it had a massive amount of hot peppers in the sauce. So, but that's just me. I mean, you might like stouts and double imperials with your spaghetti. I mean, if it makes you happy, do it. That's what I say. Don't let anybody else tell you what to eat and drink. I mean, whatever you like to eat and drink, no matter what beer advocate or rate beer or anybody else says, you should have this or you should have that. I mean, a lot of the stouts it says goes well with your chocolate dishes. I don't eat a lot of chocolates or candies or sweets or anything anymore because I don't need to. I've got such a big belly now. I've cut most of that out of my diet. But I very, very rarely have a stout or beer with cake or chocolate or anything like that. By the time I get to the stage where I might have a piece of cake, I'm done with beer. But it would pair up well. If you're getting chocolate in your drink and you're having chocolate in your food, it will pair well. And a lot of the bigger chocolate beers are good go-to after dinner beers. Something you want to sip on after you've had your dinner at, say, 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock, and you're not going to bed for 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock that night. But I'm not one of those. Usually by the time I get to dinner, if I do have a beverage with my dinner other than water, if I have a beer or a stout or anything, once I finish dinner, I'm done. I don't drink any other beer after dinner usually. 99.9% of the time, by the time I have dinner, I'm done. So, with that being said, we've gone, and glassware, I'm going to tell you, this is a Scepter Tulip oversized wine glass. I've got the Solvin glass that Paris sent me along with the beer, so this is a good pair. He sent me the glass, and he sent me the beer, and we're going to pour this beer in that glass. The beer can be cellared according to this, but just remember, whenever they say that, it's because of the alcohol content. The beer can be cellared according to the alcohol. It's not going to go bad, but the hops are going to fade, guys. So just remember that. Whenever you say, oh, you can cellar this beer, well, it's a double IPA, yes, you can, but 6 months from now, that's going to turn even more malty than what it is now. And a year from now, you'll get to the point where you won't even taste the hops. It'll taste like a malt. It'll taste like a barley wine or a malt bomb. So, well, let's get the cap off of this one. If I can whip this out. Nice cap. It's got Bootleggers Brewery in black with a phoenix or something in the back, a gold phoenix. What it looks like to me, some kind of bird. Nice little hiss. Just a tad of smoke, not a lot. This is a bomber, it's a 22 ouncer. Definitely enough to share. That's what I intend to do. There we go. Oh yeah, that's even more than half. Better to get our buzz on. What do you think? Alright guys, with that pour, about a half a finger of head. Wild color on this. It's got a little bit more reddish tint to it than most of them do. Most of them are kind of amber tangerine-ish, pumpkin-y color. This is a slightly darker, a little bit more red tint into the beer, but it's perfectly clear. And a lot of bubbles streaming up. It looks like it's fairly well carbonated, so let's get a nose on this, see what we got. Oh yeah, and I can see why they're saying what they say. The malt is present on this one. Unlike a lot of the double IPAs, you're not getting the hops just overpower everything, especially in the American style. That's just the way we are. I mean, we just like to overload. Is 2 ounces enough? Well, let's put 4 ounces in. Let's put 10 ounces in. That's really going to kick it up a notch or 2 or 3. Citrusy. A little bit of pine and grapefruit. But there is a malty sweetness to the beer. And some people like that in their IPAs. They like a little bit of that malt character to it, and some people do not. So, depends on what blows your hair back, like I say. But it's got a nice smell to it. Getting a lot of the hops, but there is a significant malt presence to that. So let's give it a taste, see what we got. Stop flapping the gums. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Parrish, my brother. I do appreciate it, sir. This has a little bit heavier malty sweetness going on than a lot of your typical double IPAs do. She's still got a great taste to it, though. It's balanced pretty well. That's very good. It's a very easy sipping beverage. But you got to remember, when you get to these bigger beers like this, 10%, I mean, that's a big beer. You got to realize when you're drinking a 10% bomber, you drink this all yourself, you're going to have a slight buzz. So when I get these, 99.999% of the time, I pour half of it into the glass and I pour the other half of it into her glass. Very, very rarely that I would drink an entire 22-ounce beer like this by myself. I'm going to say almost never. And what I've read about this beer, there are some people, like I said, that don't like as much maltiness as there is in this beer, but I do. It's a nice, pleasant change. It's a nice addition, a little bit of sweetness with that malt to go with the hops. Just a very slight hint of that alcohol. No burning or anything. But there is a hint of the alcohol. I'm not going to lie to you. But it is nothing, like I said, nothing burning or nothing overpowering. Very well made beer. Very, very tasty beer. Guys, could it be that we could get 2 10s in a row? I don't know how long it's been since we had 2 10s in a row. We're going to sip on this one for a little while. Might fire up a nice tasty cigar and pour her a big glass of this and enjoy it for probably 35-40 minutes or so. And come back and do the final chug. But I agree with Parrish. I mean, it's pretty damn tasty. The one we did yesterday, the second fiddle, was more in the lines of like the Stonium and Joy By and the Heady Topper with the hops. It's overpowering everything, which I do like. I do like that. I love that hop bomb type of beer, especially when you get a double IPA that's made very well like that and you don't get into the alcohol. But this is a little bit different. I mean, the hops are there, but they're not overpowering, and there is a little bit of maltiness to match up with that. Along with a little bit bigger ABV. We went from 9 the day before yesterday, and then 8.2, and now we've gone to the 10%. So just a little bit different, and that's what I enjoy so much about, is being able to taste these different breweries and how they put together these beers with different ABVs and different hops and different hop profiles and different malt profiles, just to try different stuff and say, well, I like this. Well, I like this too. So, but anyway, I don't want this to be a 20-minute video. This is pretty tasty beer so far, right out of the fridge. So I'll be back and we'll do the final chug. All right, guys, I'm back. Got this left here. This is a pretty damn tasty beer. But it does have a, I don't want to say a big or a significant malt presence to this double IPA. A lot of guys like this up in your face, West Coast style, hops over the top style IPA. This has a little more maltiness to go with the hops that's in this beer. So it's a nice change for me. I really enjoyed it. The only thing I can fuss about, even though Parrish went to the brewery and got this, I know it's fresh, but they choose not to date their beers. And I kind of found that critical on low ABV beers and IPAs and Imperial IPAs, not to date the beer. It's just as important on these style of beers as the brew kettle, in my opinion. And until they step up to the plate and put the date on their beers, where he doesn't have to go to the brewery to make sure he's getting a fresh beer, because when he goes to the beer store, none of them have dates on them. That sucks. That sucks out loud. This is a great beer, but bootleggers, what the fuck? Date your frickin' beers. I mean, especially this style of beer needs a date on it. It's gotta have it. It's gotta have it. This is a 10 beer as far as I'm concerned in a 9 bottle. Final chug. Very, very tasty beer. So disappointed that they don't date their stuff. Oh, we can't leave that. No, 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 no. We don't want the beer police come busting through the door because I left some in the glass. Guys, this beer is very, very tasty. It's an awesome beer. It's like I said, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a 10 beer in a 9 bottle because it has no dating on it. And Parrish made the extra effort to go to the brewery to get me one of these to know that it is a fresh beer. So I know the beer is fresh. The beer tastes fresh, and the beer is awesome. It's got a massive hop profile, but it's got a nice maltiness to it to balance up with that. It's like a blend between a double IPA and a little bit of a barley wine. It's not quite as sweet as a barley wine, but it has a nice hop profile to match up with the maltiness that's in this beer. So a little more maltiness than your typical double IPA has. So very nice. Very, very nice. So guys, the 9 is what I'm going to give it. Like I said, if it had a date on this, I would probably step up and say it's a 10 beer. A little different than your typical West Coast style when it's just hops out the ass or hop over the top or hop off the chain, whatever you want to call it, where it's up in your face, grapefruit pine, and you barely got a little bit of malt in the back end. This has a little bit of more maltiness in the back end than most of your double IPAs do. And very well made, I will say. With a 10%, there's no burning or anything. Very well made beer. So step up to the plate, guys. Put the date on your bottles. We're going to leave it at that. Enough fussing about that. Enough of the rant. Over to Beer Advocate. Beer Advocate says this is 95 world class. It is world class beer. Definitely. You guys out there in California that can get this beer. These guys are out of Fullerton, California. And I don't know how far away from the brewery they produce these beers or how far they distribute them out from the brewery. But very tasty. As far as I'm concerned, Bootleggers Brewery has definitely got a nice beer they're producing here. And I don't think I don't recall doing any other bootlegger beers. I may be mistaken, I may have done one before that he had sent me. They are definitely not available here. But this is a very tasty beer. They need to date the beer. Alright, we went over to Beer Advocate and give you the 95 world class. And over to Rate Beer, they say overall 99 and 96 in the style. If I was giving this a beer with no date on it, I would probably say it is a 98 or a 99 beer without the date. And if with the date on it, it would probably get the 100 for me. So very, very tasty beer, guys. So if you've had this one from Bootleggers Brewery, this is their Bootleggers Knuckle Sandwich, and they make a couple different variations of this. This is their standard knuckle sandwich, and I think they do 2 other variations of this beer. So very tasty, very, very tasty, guys. Paris, thanks again, brother, for sending me this one. Yeah, I know it was fresh because you made the effort to do what you did and get it from the brewery. You know how I feel about the dating of the stuff. They need to date their beers, especially in the low ABV beers and the IPAs and double IPAs. We need that information. Just for the consumers, just for the craft beer connoisseurs or craft beer enthusiasts that go into the beer store and they see these on the shelf and you pick it up and you look at it and you're looking for the date to know how fresh it is, and there is none. So disappointing. How many times do those guys look and then set that bottle back up on the shelf and not buy it because it has no date? They don't know how old the beer is. And you don't want to spend whatever this beer costs. I don't know what it costs, whether it's a $4.99 bottle or a $15.99 bottle. You don't want to spend your hard-earned money not knowing that that beer may have sat on that shelf for 6 months, a year, or longer. So we're going to leave it at that. I don't want to rant about this, but I'm not going to be happy till I see how these guys date their beers. I don't know how big this brewery is, whether they're a tiny operation or they just choose not to date their beers, thinking we're selling everything that we're producing and it's not a big issue. And a lot of the bigger breweries were that way at one time, Three Floyds and several other ones that are now dating their beers. Even Stone was that way at one time. Lagunitas, I can name off 4 or 5 others that now date their beers. Even Sierra Nevada was doing a Julian code. Now they're dating on the bottle in a digitized, and they're dating on the back label what the bottling data is on it. So a lot of them are hearing what we're saying about this dating. So we need to get them all to do it. We need to get them all. It's 2015, guys. Let's do it. Alright, if you've had this one, let me know what you think of it. Bootleggers Knuckle Sandwich. And we're out of here. Let's go see what's in the fridge tomorrow. See you then.